Hello everyone, welcome to the latest handyman in the field. This week we are talking about what makes a good handyman. Now, if you remember back in video 9, I specifically was talking about how, what the things are you should do as a handyman, appearance, how you act, things like that. That is not what we're specifically talking about this time around. This time around, we're talking about more about what type of people are perfect to be handymen. There's a lot of different things that you really should be good at, but it is a lot less about the tools and performing specific jobs than you think. Specifically, there's a lot of different things. A lot of what you do as a handyman is problem solving. What you are doing as a handyman is you're solving your customers' problems, whether it be a property manager's problems, whether it be a residential homeowner's problems, whether it be a tenant's problems to a certain degree, whether it be a small business owner. I don't do a lot of commercial work, but I have worked with small businesses because they're not very much different than a homeowner, and they like paying immediately just when they get the bill. So that's one of the reasons I like working for small business owners. But the biggest thing is that you have to think about being a handyman as a problem solver. More than anything else, that's what you need to do. Every job is a little bit different. Every job has its things that can go well and things that can go bad. And you have to figure out how to, adjust as things don't always go as planned. Being able to figure out things on the fly, it matters a lot. Knowing when you need to adjust, addressing when you need to address, addressing changes that need to happen in order to make yourself efficient and productive and all of that, that's important. Adaptability is a big deal. Switching between different kinds of work, is a perfect example. Today I was at a job where I am painting a wall in a single room. I am fixing a light. I am replacing a faucet, and I am troubleshooting a switch. I have to make sure that I figure out the best way to do those things. Painting takes time to dry. I know I'm going to probably have to do at least touch-ups after the first coat. So at the very least, I need to get that first coat on the wall in order to make sure that happens. So you have to figure out how to make things flow the best way. You have to be adaptable. When something changes, we talked about this in the last video about how, when things don't go as planned, you have to figure out how to overcome that. You have to figure out what's the best way to adjust your plan. If the wall takes twice as long to, let's say you walk into the house and you realize that it's extremely hot. The walls aren't going to dry that fast because the humidity level is probably way too high for the walls to dry fast. So you have to maybe get on that wall immediately rather than troubleshooting some of the other things. If you need to get a color sample or you need to color match a paint color and you're going to have to run to a store, well, don't run to the store before you know what else you need to have. Create that shopping list. Do that because it's going to save you time. Again, it's that adaptability. One of the things you have to do is you have to be able to perfectly, not perfectly, but you have to pay attention to the details. Noticing things before they become larger problems saves you time, but also saves your customer money, which the customer will then appreciate, and then in turn, it'll just compound and it'll be better for you in the long run. You find a leaky faucet for a customer, that's going to save them money on their water bill. You find a leaky shut-off valve while you're addressing an issue below the sink, you're going to save them from potential damage. If it's on the second floor, you're going to save them from drywall work that'll lead into other work, including painting. There's, the bottom of the vanity could need to be replaced. There's a lot of different things that could happen. And in that scenario, and when that stuff happens, that one thing that you found is going to save them time, money, and a lot of grief. So keep that in mind. Sometimes there's things that need to be fixed, and there's sometimes things that you're going to find that they need to be known, but they're not necessarily something that needs to be fixed at this immediate moment. Let's say, for example, the drain on a bathtub is not clicking down perfectly, or it's not holding water perfectly, the customer may not be taking baths, so that doesn't matter to them. But they should still know about that. It's something that they could address in the future. If that homeowner goes to sell their house and that is not something they know about, it's going to pop up in an inspection report and needs to be addressed. You're going to make sure that they know about those things ahead of time. You have to make sure that you don't rush through your jobs. It's all about being efficient. It's all about putting the money in the bank. Don't get me wrong, but you need to make sure that you're not rushing, because that rushing could end up costing you time and money, not just the customer. We don't work on an hourly rate. As I've told you, we work on flat rate. So if you try to get done faster, absolutely try to if you can, but don't rush it. Don't purposefully, miss a step or, overlook something because you're rushing. One of the things you have to do is you have to figure out how to decide the best way to approach certain aspects. You need to know when to slow down. You need to know when something has a different solution, a potentially less costly solution. As a handyman and not a plumber or an electrician, customers are going to rely on you and your knowledge to help them try to save money sometimes. That doesn't mean you can't give them the best option. It just means that sometimes the best option isn't something that they can afford, or it's not something that's in their budget at the moment. So if you can give them a temporary fix, and that temporary fix is going to keep anything from bad happening in the immediate future, and then they can plan on that more costly expense down the line, that they're going to appreciate that, and they're going to call you back when it's time to do that more expensive repair if it's something that you're capable of doing. So remember that. As you get more experience, you're going to recognize patterns. You're going to recognize how to install a faucet quicker. You're going to recognize when a three-way switch isn't working, what is the correct wiring. You're going to recognize these things. That just comes with experience. The experience doesn't come based off of just reading a book or watching videos on YouTube. It comes from actually having that real life experience. I've replaced multiple faucets where in most cases I don't have to look at the instruction manuals, but I can tell you that I will look at the instruction manuals to make sure that I'm not missing a single part when it comes to, how the actual faucet is being mounted to the sink. Sometimes you could miss the slightest little gasket, and that's going to take you a bunch of time to put back on, or to take everything back apart and then put it on. Same thing with ceiling fans. Ceiling fans are very specific on how they are installed. Most of them are pretty straightforward and they go through, but if they're different brands, they have different types of hardware. The hardware screws could go in one place and not another place. Saving yourself time, or making sure that you put in the rubber gaskets, or that you get the little fiber washers in there, it's going to save you time in the long run, because you don't want to install something incorrectly. You have to understand what's likely to happen before it actually does. This is extremely important because, again, you're trying to problem solve a scenario before it even happens. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but that is what we do. We are problem solvers at heart. Some handymen will talk about how they love to fix things with their hands. I love fixing things with my hands, but more than anything, I love to problem solve customers' problems. I love when a customer comes to me and says, I don't know what to do about this. What should I do? Even if it's not something that I personally can do, or I'm personally going to make money off of, I want to make sure that they're the first person they are contacting me first before they contact any other contractor. And the reason why is because if it is something that I can take care of, it's in my scope of work, I will 100% want to take care of it. But I don't want them to necessarily say, my toilet's running. That's a plumbing thing. I need to call a plumber. Plumbers I've worked with, they don't have a problem doing that, but that's not something that makes them a lot of money, so they would prefer not to do those items. That doesn't mean that they won't, but it means that I just missed out on something because I wasn't a reliable person for that person to solve their problem. You have to, at the same time, also learn how to do time management. This comes down to not specifically just at jobs, but also with your life and your at-home life and things like that. You need to be able to balance those things. You need to be able to, be there for your family, your spouse, your kids, but also be there for your work. I'm going to preach this on and on the more videos we do. I'm a huge proponent on don't work insanely long hours unless you absolutely need to, because you're either trying to catch up on work or you really need the money. It's not good for you. You need to make sure you have a healthy life, a work-life balance. I think contractors as a whole, they forget about that. They think about that as, oh, that's not something that pertains to our industry. We will be one of the few industries that will not be replaced by AI. And when we're not replaced by AI, we're going to be the ones that are going to be the ones that are good and figure out how to balance their lives are going to be the ones that are going to be the best ones to be able to solve other people's problems. Think of it like this. If you can't solve your own problems, how are you going to solve problems for other people? So keep that in mind. Be honest about your limits. We talked about this last week. Know when to say no, because there's certain things that you aren't going to be able to do. But that doesn't mean you can't have a list of referrals that you can give to your customer and say, you need a plumber, call this guy. This guy is perfect. Call this company for an electrician. You need roofing done, call this company. I personally have been trying to do a much better job of networking with other industries in the trades to make sure that I have people that I can refer that I know do good work and are people that I would want in my own house to do the work. That's very important. But you need to be able to give your opinion to the customer and be able to give them a legitimate thing. If you've never used somebody and you're just going off of Google reviews, I wouldn't be suggesting that, because you don't have any idea what that situation is. It could be a company with 15 vans out on the road and you have no idea who it is. I personally like working with smaller companies because I know the people who are in those vans, in those vehicles coming to do the work. And I obviously want them to be, gain more success, just like I want to gain more success. So there's that. When things go wrong, do not panic, do not rush, work through the problems logically. You need to make sure that you stay calm. Because when those things go wrong, the customer is not looking for you to be the one freaking out and being super upset. There's plenty of times where I've gotten over my head, and when I have gotten over my head, me having the cool, calm, collective attitude when it comes to dealing with the situation has sometimes, fixed the scenario with the customer, where the customer knows, well, if he's calm, I shouldn't need to be freaking out too badly. And that's important. As I said earlier, you will learn over time. And as you learn over time, you will learn from your mistakes. So you'll improve how you approach certain jobs, how you do certain tasks, how you go about making things more efficient. And when you do that, you will become more successful as a handyman. A good handyman isn't someone who never runs into problems. It's someone who knows how to handle them when the problems come up. That's the most important thing. As I started off by saying, we are problem solvers. I don't mind working with my hands, but working my brain and solving the problems is probably more in line with what I want to do with this business. I know that the very successful handyman, especially the owner-operators, before they start getting bigger, those guys are problem solvers at heart. So if you want to know what it means to be a good handyman, be a problem solver. If you're one of those people who in school you really liked the word problems and figuring out how to come up with the solutions, this is probably a really good trade for you, because you're going to be solving problems. That's not to say that there aren't other trades that are going to solve problems. There is. But the thing is, we cover such a wide range of different things that's what makes this not only interesting, but also it fulfills that problem solving need that we really enjoy. So I hope you guys got something out of this video. Please make sure to leave any comments about any questions or concerns that you have. I'll be sure to respond to those. In addition to that, if you are enjoying the content that we are providing here, please like and subscribe. Share the videos with other people that you know in the trades, people who are interested in potentially becoming a handyman. have a look at the other videos that we have to offer, because there's a lot of stuff here. Be sure to check out This Week in the Field, which is a weekly wrap up of all the jobs, pricing, and business decisions that go into running a business as an owner operator. I'm at that point where I'm kind of trying to get to a bigger scenario where I have a couple of people working with me. So follow along on that journey if you are interested. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. This has been the Handyman in the Field, and we'll see you guys next time.